Yeah, HonestDiscussioner here. This is an official apology to Thunderf00t. Or maybe a retraction. Probably one of my most criticized videos is one in which I asked a simple question. Was Thunderf00t a professional scientist? So, some backstory. I was on Rational Roundtable's video, and I saw someone claim that Thunderf00t was a professional scientist. This was over a year ago, I'm fairly certain. So Rational Roundtable asked him for proof, to which that individual said he didn't have any, but he believed it anyway. Thing is, Thunderf00t never even claimed himself to be a scientist, not in his videos at least. The most he had said up until that point was that he was an educator of sorts. So this seemed like a faith statement. Investigation was warranted. Now, I made it clear that I was not interested in Thunderf00t's docs. I was only interested in reasons to believe that he was a professional scientist. See, everyone believed that, but without any substantial reason to, as far as I could tell. So I needed the information, and I crowdsourced it. And boy, did a lot of people not like that. The most common criticism I received was that I was arguing fallaciously, that whether or not Thunderf00t is a scientist is irrelevant to whether or not he's correct about anything he says. And I agreed with that. They, however, thought I was trying to cast doubts on what Thunderf00t said by attacking his character. Was not doing that. I was honestly concerned there was an inaccurate impression about Thunderf00t going on, and that I wanted to know the truth and possibly set the record straight if it needed to be. You see, atheists were believing this without question, and the Christians were skeptical based off of a lack of evidence. There was a tad of irony in that. Now, one great thing that came out of this was that I was directed to Concordance's channel because he did know the truth about Thunderf00t, to which he told me about without divulging any of Thunderf00t's personal information. And today, Concordance is probably one of my top 5 channels on YouTube. His video on artificial sweeteners changed my grandmother's opinion on a dime. My grandmother usually requiring an entire continent to change her mind. I'm mentioning Concordance because his recent video goes over all of Thunderf00t's science credentials. Since the cat's out of the bag, thanks to Dawa Films, whose actions I openly and vehemently denounce when it comes to doc dropping. Now, my original video on this has had an annotation up since day 1 saying that there is good reason to believe Thunderf00t is a scientist. That I knew people personally, besides Concordance even, that said that they knew about Thunderf00t and they just couldn't divulge the information. But since there's proof out in the open now and that it's public knowledge, I feel it is my responsibility to come out and say directly that my hunch was incorrect. That if my annotations weren't enough and someone did believe Thunderf00t wasn't a scientist, then I sincerely apologize, and please check out Concordance's video on it, linked in the underbar, for a review of Thunderf00t's contributions to academia. Now, some have called for me to remove the video in question. What I'm going to do is own up to them and give credit where it's due. So, Thunderf00t, I officially and directly apologize for making that video. That being said, I still do disagree with a lot of what Thunderf00t says, not on science, but of his criticism of religion. I believe it rings of misunderstanding. The way he talks about religion reminds me of how a creationist talks about their understanding of science. God is a volcano based off of a surface reading of the Old Testament versus thermodynamics disproves evolution because of a surface reading of the Wikipedia article on it. Actually, you'd probably have to go to Conservapedia for that. Anyway, Thunderf00t is a scientist, this is now beyond question, and when he speaks of science, we should take what he has to say seriously. That's about it. Have a nice day. HonestDiscussioner, out.